Hello, everybody. It is Monday. How are you tonight? How are you? Welcome to Monday. Yes, it is Monday. Monday. How are you tonight? Folks, what are you grateful for tonight? Bring on the grateful. Bring it on. Tell me about your day. What are you grateful for? I want to know. Hey, Adele and Dazzle are in the house. Great to have you here tonight. How are you today? It is great to have everybody here. Get this week started now. Yes, we will. We're getting started strong. We are strong. We are resale strong. Hey, Heidi, hopping in from the Daisy. How are you tonight? Good to have you with us. Cheers to you tonight, Heidi. Great talking with you yesterday. Hey, Kitty, how are you? You sold 2 wedding gowns this weekend. Wow. Kathy, that's awesome. I didn't even know you did wedding gowns down there. You do a little bit of everything. I really got to get down there. You're not that far from me. Dazzle says meow. All right. That is awesome, though. 2 wedding gowns. But that's not only is that great because of the sales, Kathy, and that is by itself great. But it's great about the hope for the future. Starting anew, getting married, starting your lives together. I mean, that is such an amazing time. It is such an amazing time. And that people are looking forward to that they are moving forward in that direction. That they see the positive, that they want to start a life, that they want to start a family probably. I mean, you know, that is really awesome. Hey, the circle of life. All right, Gabby. Yes. And Kitty sitting with under a warm blanket in front of the fire with a cat on the lap. I just had a dog whining at my feet down at dinner. We grabbed dinner tonight. Hey, Jennifer's with us. How are you, Jennifer? Great to have you here. Yeah, so to see some new life in that department, I'm really excited about that. I am really, really excited. That's a hard department, even in good times. Okay, a bridal area in resale, it's just a tough department. But that 2 wedding gowns in one weekend, woo! They will be parties again. Do I not say that? People will gather again. And, I heard today they threw out our step system here in Connecticut or phase system. So now it's just based on how old we are to get the vaccine in Connecticut, which is good. And retail's in the next stage in Massachusetts as they protect it. If Massachusetts stays with phases, Massachusetts has retail in the next phase. So there's lots of good news out there. There's lots of good things happening. We're going to talk about it all. We are going to talk about it all. Well, let's officially kick off the program tonight with the Good Morning, Good Night book. The Good Morning, Good Night book right here is how we start the program every night. That's how we get going every night. If you are following along tonight, we are on page without numbers, page 168. Good morning. Allow for the possibility that the best of you is still inside you. Yes, inside you. I can see it. Waiting to emerge. Prepare the way bit by bit. That is our good morning tonight. Well, folks, before I get into everything else tonight, and I got plenty to talk about tonight, before I get into everything else, let's just take a moment here. I know we've all had busy Mondays and a lot going on, but let's just take a moment and acknowledge and pause for a moment with the milestone that in the United States there are 500,000 people that aren't with us tonight that were with us a year ago. This time last year, before COVID, there were 500,000 more people with us that are not here specifically because of COVID. And that's a milestone that I never thought we would see, something that I never thought was possible. And I can't wrap my arms around that number. As the numbers guy, I can't wrap my mind around it. For as advanced as our society is, for as leading as our country is, that has come to pass here. So just take a moment, just to put that in the frame of your mind, wherever it is in your and however it flows, and all of us know somebody that's been touched by this, and we're much less than 6 degrees of separation from this disease, and everybody needs we need this moment of reflection. Thank you. I often say that we're here fighting for those that can't fight, that we're fighting the fight not only for our own businesses, for our own livelihoods, for our own communities, but we are championing that for the customers who love coming and find our stores as peaceful. For so many, we are the fight. That keeps on fighting. And as I was driving this morning, I've long said, you need to find your anthem to get your energy. Early on in this, Gloria Gaynor's song was the #1 song that week back in 1970 something, and with "We Will Survive." As long as I know love, I know I will survive. But there are so many, and we are the safe place, Kitty. Yes, we are. We are the safe place for so many. But we become that because we are survivors. And I heard a song, one of those songs this morning as I was driving, and it just gets you going. And there's actually several songs in a row that were playing that were really good. We are the champions. But this speaks to main streets and retail throughout. And I won't sing it for you, but I'll read it to you. Rising up, back on the street, did my time, took my chances, went the distance, now I'm back on my feet. Just a man and his will to survive. So many times it happens too fast. You change your passion for glory. Don't lose the grip on your dreams of the past. Don't lose your grip on those dreams. You must fight to keep them alive. It's the eye of the tiger. It's the thrill of the fight. Rising up to the challenge of your rival. Okay? This pandemic has been a rival. And the last lone survivor stalks his prey in the night, and he's watching us all with the eye of the tiger. Face to face, out in the heat, hanging tough, staying hungry. They stack the odds till we take to the street for the kill with the skill to survive. It's the eye of the tiger. It's the thrill of the fight. Rising up to the challenge of the rival pandemic. And the last known survivor stalks his prey in the night, and he's watching us all with the eye of the tiger. Rising up, straight to the top. Had the guts, got the glory. Went the distance, now I'm not gonna stop. Just a man and his will to survive. Yes, you, just a woman and her thrill to survive. To keep your business going, to keep your community going. Okay, I didn't do the song justice by just reading it. It would have been better had I had it playing. Okay, I don't have the rights to it, but I can read it. Because I believe we all need our calling. We all need our anthem. Okay, we need that song in the back of our head that gets us going, that gives us that drive, that says, keep on moving forward. Keep on going forward. Hey, Kelly, how are you tonight? Keep on driving forward. Keep on going. And here you all are at the start of week 49 and 50, and you keep going. Okay? Nothing knocks you down. Nothing knocks you down. Not anything. Okay? You keep moving forward. And, just that got me going this morning. And thinking, when I heard that on the radio, it's an old Rocky movie anthem. Rocky 3, maybe? I don't know, aging myself. You have to keep on going. You, Main Street business of the United States, keeps the economy going, keeps your community going, keeps your community a safe place, okay? Because you keep on fighting for it to be there and to still be standing. And I'm so proud of you for doing it. I like this quote. The trees that are slow to grow bear the best fruit. The trees that are slow to grow bear the best fruit. I thought this was cool. This was cool. You've seen that show where they build a house in a week for a deserving family, where they take it down. America's Makeover Home Edition. I'm screwing up the name there, but you know this show that I'm talking about. Hey, Krita, how are you holding up there in Texas? Are things getting back to a little bit of normal? My sister was able to get out to Sam's Club, so that's a good sign. I hope you are doing well. You and Ronnie are doing well, and the family and your work family are doing well. How about building a Starbucks from the ground up in 6 days? 6 days! 6 days to brewing coffee. 6 days till I can get my Starbucks double shot. They did it. They did it in Canada. The Canadians did it. Energy efficient Starbucks constructed in record time. In Abbotsford, British Columbia. That's Canada, y'all. It has a cafe and drive-thru, was designed, manufactured, and assembled by Vancouver-based green building company Nexi Building Solutions with near zero construction waste. It's designed to reduce energy needs for heating and cooling compared to standard construction builds. They can create affordable green buildings. Their precision manufacturing process allowed for fast assembly. The panels for the roof and walls were designed and manufactured off-site through optimized manufacturing and simplified assembly. The building process reduces construction waste relative to typical industry practices. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Creed, that you still have some staff without water. That is the hardest thing. Especially here, I live in the country on a well. I know what that's like, and that's just hard without that. I'm sorry to hear that. But the pipes freezing down there was just unbelievable. I've never seen anything like it. Lots and lots of people I know down there had that. Hey, it's Pat in the Peanut Gallery. Great to have you here. In a change to the boardroom, McDonald's is is doing more than talking about diversity. McDonald's is tying its bonus structure for its executives to diversity. 15% of executive bonuses will be tied to the executives meeting diversity and inclusion targets. And it has pledged to put more women and minorities into senior management roles. The fast food giant will also be releasing a breakdown of U.S. employees by race, ethnicity, and gender. The increased emphasis on diversity and inclusion comes as the company's been hit with accusations of racism. It is facing 3 lawsuits from current and former black franchisees who said they were steered toward inner-city locations that have lower sales and were then pushed out. And at least 50 McDonald's restaurant workers have filed sexual harassment complaints with the EEOC or in-state courts. And the current McDonald's president said, since I stepped into the CEO role, I've said that actions are bigger than words. And since actions are even more powerful when they're underpinned by transparency, we're sharing critical data on diversity, equity, and inclusion at McDonald's publicly and regularly update the data over time. They've set goals to increase representation of historically underrepresented groups in leadership roles. Senior director and above in the U.S. from 29 to 35% by the end of 2025. They expect to increase that same metric globally from 37 to 45% by the end of 25, with a goal of reaching gender parity by the end of 2030. So that is interesting. That is interesting. Activist investors are trying to take control of Kohls' board after the chain lost $500 million in 9 months. Is that all they lost? Considering we're in a pandemic, people, we're in a pandemic. And many of their stores were closed for long periods of time. Activist investors nominated 9 people to Kohls' 12-person board. The investors want Kohls to add directors with retail experience. They want them to reduce inventory. The activist investors have about a 9.5% stake in Kohls. Including adding directors of retail experience who can work with the current CEO. My guess is they'll try to force her out too. They're also asking Kohls to consider a sale leaseback of some of its more than $7 billion in non-core real estate. The group is also calling on Kohls to reduce its inventory levels while making discounts and promotions easier for customers to follow. Kohls' operating margin was already falling, and the pandemic accelerated this. The retailer reported a net loss of $506 million in the 9 months to October 31st, compared to a $426 million profit for the same period in 2019. Kohls representative told Reuters that the company's board and management team have been engaging in discussions with the investor group since early December and remain open to hearing new ideas. The investor group nominees to Kohls' board include McCollum CEO Justin Duskin and former Burlington Stores CEO Thomas Kingsbury. This group that's putting pressure on Kohls has done this before. In 2019, they also released a brutal presentation slamming Bed Bath & Beyond's leadership. Slide after slide described what they believed was broken. It previously said that they'd cut 7% of its corporate staff as part of its business transformation. Hey, Ellen, great to have you here. Great to have you here tonight. Welcome to the party. Tuesday morning, Casper, Vince are on the latest S&P Most Vulnerable Retail list. S&P Global Market Intelligence included Tuesday morning, which went through a Chapter 11 restructuring last year, in its latest list of most vulnerable retailers. According to them, Tuesday morning has a 14.1% chance of default over the next year. Also on the list are J. Jill, 22.5% chance of default. Destination XL, 19.1% chance of default. Revlon, 15.1. Wayfair, 14.9. Vince, 14.7. Build-A-Bear, love Build-A-Bear, 13.1%. Casper, 12.7. And iMedia Brands, 11.1. S&P Global counted 52 retail bankruptcies in all of 2020, the most of any year in the past decade. To date in 2021, the firm counted 6, which is more than had filed at this time last year, but below some past years. Retail as a whole has benefited from strong, S&P says that retail as a whole has benefited from a strong holiday, the second wave of stimulus, and transfers of spending from the hardest hit sectors of the pandemic, such as travel and eating out. The year ahead could bring much higher levels of foot traffic and as more adults receive vaccines. However, many companies still expect to struggle this year. A survey of retail CFOs, they didn't survey me, found that 42% expected their company to restructure or reorganize in some fashion this year, and 44% expected their revenue declined. Financially vulnerable retailers face all of the same challenges to keep up with their well-capitalized, low-priced, and technologically adept peers that they did pre-pandemic. Add to that protracted sales declines, and many can be forced into bankruptcy court to shrink their footprint, shed debt, seek a buyer, or even liquidate. Also on S&P's list are relatively young, digitally oriented companies, namely online home goods retailer Wayfair, which has produced far more losses than profits throughout its life, and the mattress specialist Casper, which has never produced a profit, in part because of high marketing costs, something that affects Wayfair and most online DTC, direct-to-consumer brands. High marketing costs. Yeah, it costs money. It's not free. And those people are not loyal. They are not building brand loyalty there. There is no brand loyalties. Yeah, Kohls got a lot to figure out with their discount, although they have a lot going with their Kohls Cash and loyalty with that, but it is interesting with that. This is a shock to no one. States are paying billions in fraudulent unemployment claims. What? Say it isn't so. Oh my gosh! I am glad somebody told me this. For example, the Kansas Department of Labor sent letters last year to Laura Kelly about the unemployment benefit she claimed. The only problem was that Kelly had not filed a claim and that she's employed. She's the state's governor. A tsunami of fraudulent unemployment claims is sweeping the nation that cost states and the federal government tens of billions in dollars in payments. Some of it going to overseas crime syndicates and some of it going right here to people that aren't entitled to claim benefits. New York officials have referred more than 400,000 fraudulent claims to investigators, totaling $5.5 billion. Ohio, more than 100,000 people have been reported for fraudulent activity. Colorado's Department of Labor has flagged more than 1 million applications for benefits as potential fraud, and Maryland has identified 250,000 claims. Massachusetts has reported that it paid out $242 million in improper claims. The fraud is so widespread that the governor of Kansas is not the only one who's had a fraudulent claim filed on them. Ohio's governor did too. It is bad. Nancy Pelosi is asking President Biden to create a federal task force to help states stop the fraud and give states money to upgrade their technology. But unemployment fraud is real. Are accountant fees allowed for forgiveness of PPP, of non-payroll expense? Constant contact for sure. Accountant fees maybe. Accountant fees might be slightly stretching it. It's an allowed SBA expense. I'll double check that for you, Pat. I'll double check that. They usually don't like to give the accountants money because they don't want them padding their bills. They usually don't like including accounting fees. Constant contact, yes. Accounting fees, maybe. I'll check on it. Okay, so on to our friends at the White House and the SBA. So my phone's been dinging a lot today because of the way the media reported how the Biden administration is now going to be helping small businesses. If you employ under 20 people, this program's for you. It is not a new program, okay? And that's what everybody thought, the way it was being listed in the news today. They thought that it was a new program that President Biden was unveiling today for small businesses with 20 or fewer employees. It is not. What is being unveiled is a window in this PPP round. And the goal of the window is to get banks to focus on smaller businesses, okay, to rope in all the smaller businesses that are their customers that might qualify for either a first or second PPP to get them to apply because people haven't been applying and or banks haven't been spending the time on it. You got to keep in mind on these smaller loans, banks make less money. And they still have to do the same amount of paperwork. So if you have a $10,000 PPP, a bank makes $500 on that, okay? A bank makes $500 on it is what the bank gets paid for doing that PPP, okay? On a $100,000 PPP, a bank makes $5,000. Same amount of paperwork, and they make a lot more money. That's just the reality of it, okay? The smaller the PPP, the less money a bank makes. The bigger the PPP, the more money a bank makes. It's also the exact same amount of work. Actually, many times the bigger PPPs are less work because the bigger the company, the more people, the more correct the paperwork is on the first pass. The smaller the company, the less records, the more things that they have to go back to the borrower and get. And that's not a shot at the process, it's a reality. People, the smaller the business, okay, you have businesses to run, you're not paperwork people. And I totally get that. So what the Biden administration has done today, that will start Wednesday, here is what that program says. They say that for the next 2 weeks, starting Wednesday, the SBA will only process applications from businesses with 20 or fewer employees employed. Okay, so that is a key thing. So hitting the smaller companies, but also hitting the banks. So for that 2-week period, banks aren't going to be able to submit any applications for bigger companies. So that says banks, if you want to make any money on the PPP during that 2-week period, you better work with smaller companies. And that's really the driving force with this. They are also have opened it up to 98. They say, according to the Biden administration, 98% of small businesses have fewer than 20 employees and are the Main Street businesses that anchor our community. Help sole providers, independent contractors, and self-employed individuals receive support. Of those businesses, 70% are owned by women or people of color. They are looking at revising for these independent businesses the loan calculation formula. They have not published that yet. I'll be interested to see what they do with that. Hey, Michelle, glad to have you say hello. I heard it was going to be fun tonight at Michelle's Hybrid Fashion. I don't know what that means. I just heard it was going to be fun there. If you have committed fraud against the government before, you can now get a PPP. So if you have committed fraud and received a conviction from fraud and prevented from getting a PPP, you can get a PPP. Okay? If you've been arrested or committed fraud or any other felony, if you are delinquent on your student loan, you can obtain a PPP now. As millions of Americans are delinquent on student loans, including a disproportionate number of black borrowers. And if you are a non-citizen small business owner who is lawfully here in the U.S., you may get a PPP. So that is the key difference. That is, that has not been fully explained in what's in the news media, because I've been getting calls and emails all day today about it saying, oh, there's a new program for us in small business. The Biden administration is giving new money to us. There's not new money. It's the same money that was there. This is all related to the current wave of funding. This is just changing the dynamic for 2 weeks. So this is all related to the current wave, third wave, or second PPP wave, but it is the third wave of funding. There is not a fourth wave. There's not a ability to get a third PPP. There's no extra there for you. But if you have not applied for a PPP, a first or a second, I still highly encourage you to do so if you have the income eligibility to be able to do that. If there's anything that dramatically changes the calculation formula, okay, I will let you know. As of now, they said we're going to look at the calculation. to see if we can get these businesses more money, but they haven't said how they're going to look at the calculation. So I don't know if there will be a change to how they calculate the self-employment income. But if there is, I will let you know. To date, in my latest report from our friends at the SBA through yesterday, they've spent about half the money so far on the PPP. They've spent $140 billion out of the 280-something billion that they have to spend. They've approved nearly 2 million PPP loans. So over half the money is still waiting there. One of the things the Biden administration was specific about, though, today was that they would not be extending, and nor would they be asking Congress to extend the March 31st deadline for second PPPs, or first PPPs if you have not received one. So that is important. Don't miss that deadline if you are eligible. Just looking here if there's anything new here. The biggest state with SBA, with PPP dollars is California, with over $18 billion issued. The next one's not even close. New York. New York's got $11 billion. Texas at $10.5 billion in second draft PPP loans. Massachusetts has a mere $4 billion. New Mexico doesn't even have $1 billion, has a little over $500 million. The majority of PPP loans, the overall average loan size is $73,000 on this PPP. 1.4 million out of the 1.9 million are under $50,000. Okay, 71.7% of the loans issued are under $50,000. The number one lender is Chase with over $5 billion issued, with an average loan size of $77,000. On that, I don't even know if my calculator goes up that big. It doesn't. Chase made a ton of money off that. Yeah, they made millions and millions of dollars on that. Crazy the amount they made. But their average loan size is $77,000. They're the number one PPP lender. Retail's holding at about 5% of the PPP loans this time around. Just under $7 billion for retail. Accommodation and food services are at 18%, which is not really a surprise, since they allowed up to 3.5 months on them. Of the PPP dollars this time around, the majority is going to, the majority is going to unknown, unstated gender, okay? Even with those identifying as male are 550,000, female are 250,000, and unknown, unstated are 1.1 million. So, bottom line, if you are eligible, get your application in. Time is of the essence. And this 2-week window will be a good time because that's the only loans that are going in. So the only loans going to the SBA. You know, this video and everything I talk about every night, this video and everything I talk about, all the files, everything I talk about goes over to narcs.org/resalestrong by noon the very next day. Noon, I tell you. It's all over there, all the files, everything, and a direct link to the YouTube channel. You're not alone! on running this store, where you can like, comment, subscribe, and ring the bell so you know when a new one drops. You can also share it with everybody you know in business. Butcher, baker, candlestick maker. We want to help everybody get to the other side of this. Everybody. Narcs.org/resale strong. I am here live in the Narcs private Facebook group every night at more 8 than ish. Live in the Narcs private Facebook group. But if you have a question in between, you just email me, Neil, Neil, at ECIstores.com, Neil at ECIstores.com. Kelly, any idea of what % of existing small businesses ended up closing because of COVID-19? It's going to be a big number, Kelly. Across industries, across all businesses, it's going to be a big number. Somewhere north of 25, probably %, 25%. It's a lot of businesses. The restaurant industry has been decimated, travel and accommodations, hospitality, retail, service industries, salons, gyms. I mean, it's very sad. It's very sad. But I haven't seen recent actual counts on that, and some of it there won't be. There won't be good counts on it, but I'll keep you updated as I see some real numbers. Probably a third or more of all restaurants. It's very sad. It's very sad for something that they didn't cause, okay? Which has been my whole thing throughout this. And, as I've read articles, as people didn't know where to go for help and everything, the fact that our industry is not thriving but surviving this and growing our way out of this to the other side because we all held hands and walked our way through it. Is a testament to all our strength, but not every industry did that. I was, saw an interview with a salon owner the other day, and it's just sad. She's invested a lot of money, and I'm sad. I am sad for that. I never want to see any businesses go out, especially because of this. We start this program every night. Speaking of which, have you seen an update recently on our barber? We start this program every night with our Good Morning, Good Night book. Our Good Morning, Good Night book is how we start this program. Tonight, we are on page 168, if you were not here for our Good Morning. Good morning. Allow for the possibility the best of you is still inside. Inside there. It is. I believe it. Waiting to emerge, prepare the way, bit by bit. Our good night tonight is good night. Allow for the possibility that the best stuff is still ahead. It is. The best is still ahead of us, not behind us. Your best days are still coming. Waiting to reveal itself. Prepare the way, bit by bit. There you go, people. There is our graphic tonight. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Neil Abramson. I do like a good party, a wedding, a bar mitzvah even. We will party again. We will party in person. Maybe we'll have a spring fling. Who knows? We will party. And when we do, I will be there with you. Yes, I will. But until then, and until tomorrow at more 8 than ish, know that you and you, but most importantly you, yes you, you're not alone running this store. Have a great night, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow.